So, are you considering selling your house? That's always stressful. It's always a big decision. You got to figure out a lot. What are you going to do to get it sold? What do you have to do to the house? Where are you going to go? It's always best to have that where are you going question answered before you put your house on the market. But I want to talk about a few common seller mistakes that people make when they list their houses. Pricing too high for the condition or the location is the number one mistake that sellers make. They think that they can price it wherever they want or according to what they need out of it versus what the comparable sales tell them it needs to be priced at. But they want to price anyway, so they have negotiating room. Pricing your house too high is a very, very bad idea no matter what market you're in. You can get by with it a little more in the spring, but definitely not in the fall. And right now, with the way that the market is moving, we've experienced a little bit of an uptick here in the late spring, but still, buyers are pretty smart. They know what the place is worth. They have a pretty good idea. So you want to avoid pricing too high for the condition, location, or any other factors. Right along with that, sellers who don't take selling obstacles into account. Are you on a busy road? Do you have a non-existent backyard? Do you have to go from one bedroom into another for access? Those types of things are big obstacles to a lot of people who are looking to buy your house. So you've got to take those obstacles into account and be realistic about them and adjust the price a little bit to account for them. When you're actually getting ready to go on the market, not having professional photos for your marketing and not having a marketing plan is a very bad idea. You don't want terrible pictures. You don't want to be flung onto the internet with terrible pictures and then cross your fingers and hope for the best. You want a full marketing plan laid out, including professional photos for sure. Once you get under contract, there are some issues as well that we can encounter. The biggest one is ruling out a certain financing type other than cash or conventional. When you rule out government-backed loans, FHA, VA, USDA, you really shrink your buyer pool down, especially if you are in a first-time home buyer type price point. So just keep in mind that if you rule out financing types, you shrink your buyer pool down. If you're selling as is and the property's in bad shape, we really have no choice but to do that. But if your property's in really good shape, there's no reason why it shouldn't be available to people who are using all financing types in order to purchase it. So sometimes we just can't and we have to limit financing types, but most of the time your home is in good enough condition to where it can handle any financing type that the buyer has. And a lot of people are going with the government-backed loans just because the rates are better. So keep that in mind that you want to be careful about ruling out financing types. Another thing is when you get an offer, sellers who refuse to counter, they get insulted and think an offer's too low. If all the terms are unrealistic, I can understand being offended and not wanting to counter an offer. But if it's just the price is actually one of the more easy things to negotiate in the whole scheme of things when we think about terms in an offer. So I would say be the last one away from the table. Counter and negotiate. We're not used to doing that a lot, but we need to. I know a lot of people tell me, I just don't want to go back and forth. But a good old negotiation is good for the soul. And then if you really can't come to terms after you've tried, I understand, but it's always best to counter and see what can come of it. If you have questions about this topic or any other, please feel free to reach out to me by phone, text, email, or private message. And if you're watching on YouTube, click subscribe. Thanks, bye.